Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to this special day at Wabash College. My name is Greg Redding, and I'm a Wabash alumnus from the class of 1988. I've been serving here as a German professor since 2002 and as Dean of Students since 2019. Before we begin today, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the grief that we in the Wabash community are feeling with the loss of one of our brothers, Tyler Scheidt, who was fatally injured in a traffic accident this past Wednesday. Tyler was a rising junior who was pursuing a major in history with a minor in German, and he was a brother of Delta Tau Delta fraternity. Our love and sympathy go out to Tyler's family, among them his brother Cam, who will be part of the Wabash class of 2025 with these young men here. Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of Tyler. Thank you. To the family and friends here in the audience or watching our live stream, thank you for participating in this historic rite of passage for Wabash men and for your part in helping these young men reach this important milestone in their lives. And to you men of the class of 2025, this ringing in ceremony is a tradition that ties you directly to the first 12 students to enroll at Wabash 188 years ago. In the many years between you and those first Wabash men, this college has faced countless challenges, and each has been met with success by the students, faculty, and staff who came before us. Wabash is a great institution today because our predecessors were able to rise to the occasion and not only navigate the college through the challenge of the moment, but make it better along the way. The COVID-19 pandemic is our challenge of the moment, and it has been a long moment, as we know. Your high school experience was significantly shaped by this coronavirus, and as your college career begins, this virus and its variants continue to impact our community. But the Wabash culture is one that meets challenges such as this head on. For we know that every challenge presents opportunities. Opportunities for personal growth, for discovering new ways of doing things, and for honing in on what is truly important in our lives. As we begin this new academic year during this lingering pandemic, I ask each of you to do your part to help us maintain a healthy living and learning environment. I want you to have high expectations for yourself and your classmates. I want you to strive toward excellence in all phases of life. And I want you to show the fighting spirit that Wabash students are known for. One way that we show our spirit at Wabash is through the singing of our beloved fight song. If you do not already know the words to Old Wabash, you will find them on the inside cover of your orientation booklet. I invite you to join in with the Wabash College Glee Club under the direction of Professor Saren Williams as they provide a rousing rendition of Old Wabash. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and sing along. may please be seated. The Glee Club is one of our longest-standing traditions at Wabash. There are flyers posted around campus for Glee Club call-outs, so if that's something you're interested in, please go and become part of that tradition. Whether you join Glee Club or not, each of you should soon learn the words to Old Wabash, which we believe to be the longest college fight song in the country. We sing it frequently and enthusiastically. And coming up in just a few weeks is the annual Chapel Sing competition, where you'll have the chance to demonstrate your mastery of the song. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our Dean for Enrollment Management, Mr. Chip Timmons, an alumnus from the Wabash class of '96. Chip is here representing all those many people affiliated with the effort to recruit each of you to our college. In order that he may welcome you and describe you a bit to one another, please welcome Mr. Chip Timmons.
All right, since we're all friends now, I have a confession to make. I don't know this class nearly as well as I know previous classes. With little to no on-campus events for us, restrictions on on-campus programs, we missed out on some opportunities, to get to know you just as well as we would like. But, I do have some instruments at my disposal where I can kind of get some information about you. So we did our best by looking at your application. But really, the things we missed out on were those opportunities to see your faces light up when you talk about the things that you've enjoyed doing the most or the things you're most passionate about. We didn't have those chances for alumni or faculty to approach us after a dinner on campus and say, give us the details of these engaging conversations they've had with you. Or when our student host comes back and reports to us, we need this guy here at Wabash. But some of those resources I think I was able to pull from helped me do a decent job of capturing the essence of this class. And if you work in the enrollment and financial aid business, you don't get much of a summer break, really. You spend more time shifting your focus to the next class. But you need to look back at the class that was, look at the survey data. What are you telling us about your experiences in your college search? What do your parents say? We want to refine our messaging. And some of the words that we see over and over again come up when we looked at this class. Words like outcomes, academics, strength, facilities, success, brotherhood, home, family. All those words appear on the list. But let's talk about that last one, family. It always rises to the top. You young men that are going to be running into this class did more than just choose a college. You chose to join a family. So all the moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles here with us today, or those watching at home, you're in our family now too. So what can I tell you about the 222 students joining the Wabash family today? You have an average GPA of 3.85. 9 of you are valedictorians. 13 are Eagle Scouts. 42 of you are legacies, so that you are already in the family. 1 of you is the 4th member of your family to attend Wabash, and 1 of you is the 5th member of your household to attend Wabash. You hail from 7 countries and 17 states. If you graduated from Carmel, Crawfordsville, Crown Point, Hamilton Southeastern, Ron Colley, or Westfield high schools, you're here with at least 5 of your fellow Greyhounds, Athenians, Bulldogs, Royals, Rebels, and Shamrocks. And if you're interested in mascots like I am, I'm a Wabash College Little Giant and a Frankfurt hot dog. We also have 3 Padres, an Eddie, a Caveman, and a Torrey Pine. And we also have 5 Hunters, but I'm talking about names, not mascots now. But Hunter's not our most popular name. At the next family gathering, if someone calls for Jacob, 10 of you will answer. And Ethan, that goes for 9 of you. And families argue all the time about where to eat. So when that debate rises amongst you, will you look to your friend and classmate who managed a McDonald's or the one who's a Chick-fil-A drive-through specialist? I know who gets my vote. And you celebrate birthdays. Families love to celebrate birthdays. 5 of you were born on February 8th. 4 of you have birthdays on November 11th. Another 4 on March 6th. Another 4 on July 25th. And where are Trescott Duffy, Elijah Green, Quinn Manford, and Matthew Meyer? Hey, their birthdays are tomorrow. Now, luckily for all of you, Last year, a young man in the freshman class' birthday fell on freshman Saturday and had to listen to me sing happy birthday, and I forgot how a microphone works, so I just stood here during the live stream and did a solo. Well, I'll spare you that this year. Everyone's laughing because it's true. It was awful. But if we had to sing and we needed some accompaniment, we have a whole ensemble of musicians to pull from. Cello, clarinet, drums, flute, guitar, saxophone, trumpet, viola, violin, piano, and tuba, and we could ask the 2 drum majors in the class to conduct us if we needed to. So yeah, you're quite talented. You're also quite tough. One of you defeated brain cancer. Another has survived a collapsed lung. One overcame severe hearing loss as a child. One of you, quote, dislocated a joint in my body every year of high school. One of you stood up for a classmate who was subjected to racially motivated bullying. Another of you saved a classmate from drowning. You also committed acts that would help serve others in your community. One of you helped install a lighting system at your school to help properly light the American flag. Another volunteered for a wounded warrior wildlife excursion. One created and led a shoe drive for needy families called Souls for Souls, and another founded Game Time, an organized activity period for residents of a nearby nursing home. And you travel. Despite all the challenges of the pandemic, some of you made the opportunities to get abroad, or prior to that point, you participated in exchange programs in England, Spain, and Ghana. You traveled to Africa and the Amazon for mission trips. One of you, quote, got lost in Budapest. And another of you rode a piece of plywood down an active volcano in Nicaragua. This family can also boast some interesting things, including someone who's conducted research on Amboseli baboons, a competitor on the reality show Survivalist, and the 17th golfer in Illinois high school history to record a hole-in-one during a tournament. So there we go. There's my best attempt to categorize and summarize the strengths, outcomes, and successes of this newest addition to our family, despite not having the opportunity to spend as much time with you as we normally do. And just remember, young men, families provide support and encouragement in good times and bad, grief and uncertainty, but we'll experience all of those things and more together. Again, soon to become this family, but I do want to make sure you understand that this family's been supporting you long before you got here. If you don't believe me, I'm going to tell you a quick story. The Wabash family started supporting me 30 years ago when a math teacher and football coach at my high school encouraged me to take a look at Wabash College. And I've thanked this person a few times, but today is my last chance to do it in this setting. So you remember that household with 5 Wabash men? So Tracy Cochran and her husband Chris, Wabash class 1990, are ringing in their 4th Wabash man today. Chris was that math teacher and coach who encouraged me to look at Wabash, and I can honestly say I wouldn't be where I am or the person I am today were it not for his influence and encouragement. So Chris, thank you. Students, think about the people in your Wabash family, an alumnus, a Wabash parent, faculty member, coach, or current student who encouraged and supported you throughout your high school years and your college search. I ask you at some point this semester to reconnect with them and say thanks. Parents, I encourage you to do the same. Don't wait decades to do it, and I promise they'll enjoy hearing from you. Because 30 years is a long time to say thanks, and it feels like forever, but family's forever, and Wabash is forever.
Thank you, Chip. You and your team have done really remarkable work in the most difficult of circumstances to show this entering class the value of a Wabash education. You know, it's been my privilege over the years to know many Wabash alumni from all eras and all walks of life. Through their commitment to service, their professional accomplishments, and their devotion to Alma Mater, I have seen how they continue to live the values of the college mission and the gentleman's rule even decades after their student years. It's no surprise then that we have the top-ranked alumni network in the country. We have the most passionate, most dedicated, most engaged alumni that you can imagine. No one knows that better than those who serve on the board of directors for our alumni body, the National Association of Wabash Men, or NAWM. Here to speak on behalf of our alumni and welcome the class of 2025 into the Brotherhood is Mr. Kip Chase, Wabash class of 2003 and current president of the NAWM. Kip?
Thank you, Dean Redding. Good afternoon. Gentlemen, what a day this is for you. Welcome to Wabash College. I have the honor of standing before you today as the president of the National Association of Wabash Men, which according to the Princeton Review, and as Dean Redding just referenced, is the #1 ranked alumni network in the United States. As I look out at each of you and with your loved ones behind us, I'm taken back to my journey and my freshman Saturday and this ringing in ceremony. If I'm like any of you, you're filled with excitement and hope for what's ahead. Yet you also may be a little bit nervous, thinking, I'm about to say goodbye to parents, family, and friends for the first time and live on my own. You may just be thinking to yourself, if I can just make it through today, all will be okay. Well, I promise you, you're going to be more than okay. As a matter of fact, you're getting an exceptional start in life. You're students at Wabash College. To help you on this journey, I want to offer you some words of wisdom and encouragement to make sure that you put your phones down and look up and look around. The people that surround you, those standing and sitting just a few feet away from you, are going to change your life. You're going to meet friends that will be with you in all of your journeys. They're going to guide and teach you and mentor you. You're going to meet faculty and staff that you'll have relationships far longer than the 4 years that you're expected on this campus. That's because this Wabash community is a unique one, and the circles of faculty, staff, students, alumni, and families, they all intersect. Let me share with you 3 specific examples that changed and shaped my life and my experience here as a student. I believe that they'll be relevant to some of you today. It starts with my own move-in day of my freshman Saturday in August of 1999. My family woke up early to move me from Bedford, Indiana into Martindale Hall. When we arrived so early that there were still parking spaces left near Center Hall right on campus. As we got out, I hear my mom say to somebody who's standing next to us, "Hey fella, what's your name?" I had no idea who she was talking to. So I walked around, I had a basket of laundry in my hand, and my mom says, "Kip, come meet Andy." I shook his hand, and my mom, being the proud parent she was, asked Andy a follow-up question. She says, "Andy, what do you do here?" Andy, in his quiet demeanor, simply said, "Well, Mrs. Chase, I'm the president of Wabash College." That "hey fella" was none other than the president of Wabash, Andy Ford. A side note to each of you here today, and maybe the moral of this story, your parents, as they drop you off today, they may put you in tight spots and make you feel embarrassed, but you never know how it's going to work out for you. As a matter of fact, I ended up meeting once a semester and having breakfast or lunch with Andy Ford during my 4 years, and I'm so grateful for it. My second example of look up and look around has to do with the connecting with alumni. You never know where and how simple it may come to you, but my encouragement is just to be ready for it. Homecoming weekend, my freshman year, I was in line at the bookstore buying a t-shirt with a fellow classmate. I had made just a comment while I was standing in line that I was excited to meet some of the illustrious alumni that our college talks and brags so much about. Well, there was a woman behind me in line and said, "Well, if you want to meet my husband, he's standing outside the bookstore. You should go say hello to him." I share this story because I walked out of the bookstore and I introduced myself to a fellow alum, Bob Grand, class of 1978. Bob is special to me. We now have a friendship and a relationship that is in its 22nd year. Everything from career conversations to personal counseling to just a sincere guide and mentor for me is what he has been and meant. What also makes this story special, though, was that it was his wife, Melody, who was the one that was in line, who heard this conversation and connected me to him. You never know when you're going to be impacted by an alum. And sometimes it doesn't even happen from the alum directly. It can happen with their spouse and significant other. Finally, I want to make sure that you continue to look up and look around at your fellow classmates today. These are relationships that will change your life. I found friendships with a kid named Jeff Espino from Mission, Texas, Todd Brown from Hammond, Brian Derwicki from Hobart, and Scott Metzger from Sullivan, Indiana. Our stories and journeys couldn't have been more different, yet we had special similarities. First-generation college students, we filled failure. We didn't have much money, yet we built bonds of fellowship that have stood the test of time. During our 4 years, we overcame cancer diagnosis. We supported each other when one of my friends had a child, and we also played a role in introducing each other to our spouses. I expect that this will happen to each of you. To share a few of these sentiments from my friend and former president of the National Association of Wabash Men, Mark Nichols, we both encourage you to know that your fellow classmates will become some of your greatest and most frequent teachers in the classroom and in life. Take a look around. Look closely at each other. These are not just your competitors, but they are also your best friends. The guy that you'll ask to be the best man at your wedding and the godfather to your children. The men whose tips on your resume will help you get that longed for but very difficult to attain job. They will be there for you in life's highs and lows, and I assure you there'll be plenty of both. I know because some of my best friends, the men I mentioned earlier, are men with whom I've shared tears and the heartiest of laughs. These bonds started right here, in these stands, in these classrooms. But there is much more. As Dean Timmons just conveyed, there's so much diversity here amongst you of thought, political persuasion, different countries, cultures, races, religions, and sexual orientations. Be sure to get to know one another. There is so much beauty in the relationships and friendships that you are about to undertake. All of these friendships will help you become stronger in life. They will stand up against trials and tribulations, and these bonds, I assure you, will stand the test of time. But to find them, look up and look around. As I conclude, throughout your 4 years here, I promise you, you're going to be challenged academically, socially, physically, spiritually, emotionally. These challenges are going to help sharpen your focus on who you are and the contributions that you're going to make to society. You'll learn the valuable lessons of what it means to be a good man at a time when the world desperately needs you. You'll learn the valuable lessons of what it means to live life with integrity through Wabash's mission to educate you to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely. As legendary Wabash professor William Plaker, himself a class of 1970 alum and mentor to so many of us, shared in an address in 1981, quote, "It only takes a few educated people to make a difference. If in the years ahead, some of those few are not graduates of Wabash College, including each of you here, as you all start your journey, that we will have failed to be worthy of the tradition that we inherit. Embrace this point, that this college will raise the bar of expectations for you, and therefore you should raise the bar of expectations for yourself and each other. Future employers, and institutions that will hire you are going to look for the best among you and expect them to do their homework on you. Your reputation will precede you and should serve as a reminder that who you are as a person will be more important than what you choose to do with your career. And finally, let this alumni network help you. More than 14,000 living alumni of this college await your call, your email, your Facebook or LinkedIn request. Like your family, teachers, coaches, friends, we too offer what we can for those willing to extend an invitation to become perhaps your own mentor, your teacher, and maybe a lifelong friend. Welcome to Wabash, gentlemen, and to your family. We welcome all of you with open arms. Thank you so very much.
Many thanks to you, Kip, and to all the members of the NAWM and the wider alumni community for the essential work that you do to support Wabash students. And now it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you the 17th president of Wabash College, Dr. Scott Feller. President Feller is entering his second full year of service as president of Wabash, but he has been a leader at the college for over 20 years. First as a professor of chemistry, and then as dean of the college. You could not be in more capable hands as you begin your time at Wabash Please welcome our 17th president, Dr. Scott Feller.
Good afternoon. It's a joy and honor to welcome you to our campus in this tradition-rich ringing-in ceremony. But like so many of our cherished traditions, the pandemic has forced us to make some adjustments to this day. 2 years ago, President Hess stood in a very hot Pioneer Chapel to ring in the class of 2023. It was literally 95 degrees in there. Last year, the event was held Sunday night out on the mall, long after the parents of the new students had gone home. We spread out chairs all the way from the chapel to the flagpole and welcomed the class of 2024 to the Brotherhood. Today we're here for the first time in Wabash history in our fantastic new stadium with a beautiful view of our chapel and the campus to the north. Change is hard at Wabash, but adaptability, flexibility, and resilience are in our DNA, especially resilience. One of the things that COVID taught me is the full and true meaning of our motto, Wabash always fights. I'm pleased that many of your parents are able to be with you in person or on live stream to celebrate this special day, the day that you become Wabash men. Men, as you will learn one day, time with your kids moves at warp speed. One day you're driving your son to soccer practice, and the next thing you know, he's off to college. Here's my warning for the moms and dads from the parent of 2 recent college graduates. The pace doesn't slow down. It only gets faster. But on this, your first real day as Wabash men, think about your parents and all the sacrifices they've made to get you to this point in your lives. Piano lessons, math homework, travel ball, hundreds of events. They showed up. They also showered you with love, encouragement, passion, drive, and the confidence that you could do everything it takes to become a Wabash man, to make the bold choice to select a college that calls you to be a gentleman and responsible citizen. So please join me in saluting your families and thanking them with a resounding round of applause. Gentlemen, today is one of the most important days of your lives. Today you become a Wabash man. You begin at an unusual moment in time, to say the least, a time when many opportunities have been taken away from us by the COVID pandemic. But this moment will pass, and I want you to look forward. How will you ensure that 4 years from now, you're not looking back with regret at opportunities lost? Not lost from COVID, but lost because you didn't step forward to embrace them. I need you to listen carefully. How you define your Wabash experience over the next 4 years is entirely up to you. I know this to be true because I've witnessed it for almost 25 years. Young men arriving on campus and setting a course for themselves that leads to remarkable achievements. So while it's up to you to define your time here, I am going to offer you a little helpful advice. First and most important, do not let COVID or the pandemic be the story of your time at Wabash. If you must, make it a footnote. Tiny type, bottom of the page. Instead, focus on building lifelong relationships with classmates, roommates, teammates, and fraternity brothers. Take seriously the offer of open office hours by your professors. You will discover that our faculty are genuinely accessible, and they will care deeply about your intellectual and emotional growth over the next 4 years, and long after that. Join clubs, sing, get involved in theater or politics, intern in a professor's lab, compete, engage with the nation's #1 alumni network, fill your life with challenge, opportunity, and joy. Make your Wabash journey enriching, engaging, and intellectually challenging in life-changing ways. Now, I want to speak for just a moment on why the liberal arts education you're going to receive here is so utterly important at this critical point in your lives and in our nation's history. I had the chance to meet New York Times columnist David Brooks when he visited campus a couple of years ago. He'd just finished writing a book, The Second Mountain, A Quest for a Moral Life, which is more or less a how-to guide on living for a cause larger than yourself. Then last year, in referencing the COVID pandemic, Mr. Brooks wrote a column in the New York Times about leadership in times of crisis. He specifically mentioned the thoughtful leadership of Abraham Lincoln after Gettysburg, Ronald Reagan after the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, and Barack Obama after the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. Leadership seems to be an especially important topic in these uncertain times. Mr. Brooks wrote, quote, "In times of hardships, real leaders re-articulate the purpose of America, why we endure these hardships, and what good we will make out of them." He also pointed out how many of our great leaders received educations that focused on character foundation above all else. Brooks wrote, "They were trained by people who assumed that life would throw up hard and unexpected tests. And it was the job of a school to produce young people who would be, quote, acceptable at a dance, invaluable in a shipwreck." While other colleges might articulate more detailed student learning outcomes, I will be very happy if you live here in 4 years as someone that those around you describe as acceptable at a dance, invaluable in a shipwreck. I point this out because over the course of this week, you will learn that a culture of personal responsibility is at the very center of your Wabash educational experience. Yes, we want you to learn to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely. But we want you to do those things with integrity and a sense of purpose. We want your time at Wabash to be a quest for a moral life. That's why physics majors will study the great works of literature. That's why art majors will develop the problem-solving skills learned in laboratories. That's why all of you will come to understand languages and cultures far different from your own. That's why next spring we'll ask you to look into a mirror and ask yourselves important questions like, who am I? Why am I here? How can I serve others? Years from now, some of you will be doctors and researchers developing vaccines for even more novel viruses than COVID-19. Some of you will run the drug companies that develop, test, and market those vaccines. Others of you will be in positions of public power, charged to make critical and ethical decisions on behalf of those whose voices are silenced. Your Wabash education will guide you no matter what vocation you're called to serve. David Brooks got it right when he wrote, "Right now, science and the humanities should be in lockstep. Science producing vaccine with the humanities stocking leaders and citizens with the capacity of resilience, care, and collaboration." I promise you, if you're all in at Wabash, you will develop the capacities of resilience, care, and collaboration. And you will be the leaders our world so desperately needs. I want to retreat for a moment to focus on the underlying element of our college's community. The linchpin that allows Wabash to work so well against such difficult odds is our gentleman's rule. You have heard and will hear much more about the rule and what it means to be a gentleman and responsible citizen. So 1 year ago, I became the first Wabash president to rise from the ranks of the faculty since our 9th president, Byron Trippett, over 60 years ago. I learned a lot in my first year as president by reading Trippett's book, Wabash on My Mind. Trippett tells us that it was George Valentine Kendall who crafted the gentleman's rule. Kendall served this college as English professor from 1920 until 1957 and was our only dean for 16 of those years. President Trippett called Dean Kendall, quote, "the most civilized man I've ever met." But to better understand Dean Kendall, you need to know that during World War I, he served in France and taught soldiers how to use artillery weapons. Needless to say, when he arrived at Wabash after the war, he wasn't interested in being soft on the students. He was clear in articulating his expectations for Wabash men and the types of behavior that would be tolerated. While it wasn't formally called the gentleman's rule in those days, Dean Kendall insisted that Wabash men behave as gentlemen at all times. President Trippett called the gentleman's rule a philosophy which presupposed that students were adults, not children, that they were able to distinguish between right and wrong, and that they were aware of their responsibility for the consequences of their behavior. They were aware of the responsibility for the consequences of their behavior. Certainly, society has changed a great deal in the nearly 100 years since Dean Kendall had those life-changing conversations with his Wabash men about the differences between right and wrong and all those murky gray areas. But the beauty of our code of conduct that it is strong enough and broad enough to accommodate those changes. So while our rule does not change, the way we articulate it, discuss it, and understand it adapts to the needs of the campus. And this is certainly one of those times. We continue to be gripped by the pandemic, and as you sit here today, you need to know our rule is as much about your role in protecting the health of those around you as it is about your own behavior. We have to be in this together, all for one Wabash. Gentlemen, from this moment forward, you'll be treated as adults. You'll be held accountable for your actions. You'll strive for higher standards than your high school friends attending lesser institutions. You will graduate from Wabash armed with a character-based education that will put you on the path of success. That's how this place works. You'll receive an exceptional liberal arts education, and you will lead full and engaged lives here. You'll make friends you will lean on in times of crisis and love in times of joy. These relationships will sustain you over the arc of your lives. You'll be challenged by professors in the classroom, by your coaches and mentors all across campus, and by the men that you live and learn with. You will aspire to be, indeed you will become, gentlemen and responsible citizens. I challenge you as Wabash men to live up to our high expectations set forth in our mission and our gentleman's rule today and for the rest of your lives. If you're prepared to take up this challenge, to determine the man you want to be, to take on the responsibility of your own life and the lives of your brothers, to set as your goal to live a wise and virtuous life embodied by the gentleman's rule, to live up to the high ideals articulated in the mission of this college, to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely, then please stand with confidence and pride. It's my distinct honor to continue the tradition begun by the first professor of Wabash College, and using his bell, ring you into the good company of Wabash men. Men of the Wabash class of 2025, welcome to the Brotherhood.
Thank you, President Feller. You may be seated, gentlemen. Thank you, President Feller, and congratulations, Wabash men of the class of 2025. Before closing, I have a few housekeeping notes and some scheduling updates. Students, as you adjourn, please exit to the right, to the right or the left, rather than through the middle passageway here. You can find friends and family in the areas beneath and behind the stadium, and you can take about 45 minutes for hugs and goodbyes. At 4:45, you need to be at the location on the blue paper that's in your orientation folder at 4:45. I'll see all of you in Ball Theater tonight at 7:30 as we continue our exploration of the Gentleman's Rule. For parents, family, and friends, please look for your Wally in the stadium concourse or elsewhere, but please not here on the track or on the field after the ceremony. President and Mrs. Feller are looking forward to hosting parents and family and friends at a welcoming reception starting at 4:45 in the concourse beneath the stands where it's a little bit cooler. This is a casual, come-as-you-are event. I'd also like to thank the small army of people who have made today possible: the admissions office, our Healthy Campus Task Force, which continues to work on providing a good environment for us this year, the staffs of Bon Appetit and Campus Services, the whole student life team, but especially Dean Heather Thrush and her student orientation mentors, as well as Dean Welch, student life specialist Mike Lynn, and all of the student housing leaders. And last, but certainly not least, thank you so much to the parents and the guardians who have made it possible for these young men to continue their education at this special place. To you, we say, welcome to the Wabash family. To the men of the class of 2025, welcome to the Brotherhood. Our program will conclude with a Glee Club performance of our Alma Mater, the lyrics for which are found on the inside of the back cover of your orientation booklet. Please rise for the Alma Mater. adjourned.